Hello, my goddesses. Today I'm sharing another daily musing, which are these audio clips of me sharing wisdom and guidance to help lead you back home to your enchanted feminine soul. If you want to listen to the others, make sure you can look within my other videos to see all of the other topics that I covered. And I'm going to be doing these for the next week or so as we celebrate the launch of my signature program, the Erotic Luxury Temple. I've got a lot of women already signing up and they're already feeling rapid breakthroughs, and I definitely want that for you too. So if you're the kind of woman who is serious about her growth, if you're not the type to just intellectualize information, but you want to actually embody it so that you can skyrocket your feminine energy to the next level, then I want you to click the link down below to register for the program, the Erotic Luxury, and secure your spot now. You have only 4 days left for the early bird rate, which includes my signature best-selling program, Infinite Allure. So that is 2 programs that you're getting for the rate of 1, which is an awesome, incredible deal that you would be crazy to not take advantage of. So click that link down below and sign up now. So today I want to chat about how to honor your majestic no. So your majestic no is all about you having boundaries around the love that you give. It's about you getting clear on who you are, what you are and are not available for, and then adjusting your life, your choices, and the people in it accordingly. So this word no is such a simple word that could actually be really terrifying for some women to say. So let me know if you can relate to those moments of conflict or tension where maybe you have a split second to choose between honoring yourself and then letting somebody else down, or giving other people what they want, but doing it at the expense of your well-being, and then having to deal with the guilt or the tension that causes. So I believe all humans inherently have this embedded fear around abandonment. So instinctively, we know that life is about, we do have needs for other people when it comes to our survival and love and connection. So the thought of you losing someone, the thought of rejection, the thought of somebody not liking you, the thought of you letting someone down, that can actually cause a lot of tension in you, which is actually a very normal human response to have. And then on top of that, we have a lot of childhood programming where maybe as a little girl, it didn't feel safe to express your boundaries. Maybe your voice got stifled. Maybe your parents felt threatened by your self-expression. Maybe you were shamed or gaslit for having opinions that were different than your family members. So all of this can condition you to feel guilt around honoring yourself, and it leads to this feeling where you feel compelled to always let yourself go and self-sacrifice because you so desperately want to keep the love of other people. So this is usually what's at the core of women who feel like they're not allowed to speak up for themselves, or they feel afraid to own their voice. But if you struggle with having boundaries, if you struggle with saying no, I want you to understand how doing that is not loving towards yourself at all. It's self-abandonment, and it's also self-betrayal. Because how can it be loving to let yourself be objectified by self-sacrificing for other people? Those people that you're trying to please, they're only going to like you because you're convenient and they know that they can get away with a lot with you. I know a lot of women have this idea where they think if they overgive, if they overfunction, if they stay quiet, if they don't have any needs, if they self-sacrifice, that it's going to get them love from other people, that other people will see them as such a good woman or a good person. But they're only going to like you because you're convenient. And, that has nothing to do with liking you as a person. And not only do you lose respect for yourself when you do that, you also lose respect from those people as well when they see that you don't value your time or your energy. So the first step to shifting this around is to see what's at the core of it, the root of it. So as a little girl, your brain was like a sponge, so you picked up a lot of imprinting about what it means to be a woman. So let's say you observe your mother being a doormat or not having a strong sense of who she was. Or let's say your dad would always challenge you every time you had a different opinion than him or displayed autonomy outside of him. The repetition of all of this can condition you to not want to listen to yourself, so it creates this inner narrative that states, feelings like I'm not allowed to exist outside of other people. It can create these deep feelings where you feel like you have to remain invisible and quiet in order to survive and get love from other people. There may be a lot of feelings around shame that developed where you feel like your voice is something to be embarrassed about. Your inner narrative might be saying something like, you don't deserve to be heard. That's why you don't speak up for yourself. Or maybe you only got praise and love from your family when you were quiet and when you were a good girl, so that could have programmed you to feel like you shouldn't take up too much space. So you see, this inner narrative could be anything, and it's running on autopilot in your subconscious mind, and that's what's infecting your behavior and driving this pattern of you not wanting to speak up. And I do want to say that reflecting on childhood is a good first step. But it is one thing to have an intellectual understanding of what happened to you, but it's a completely different experience to have a gut level, visceral healing process that allows you to deeply extract that old narrative so that you can rewire your inner story. You have to clear out that cellular memory and that energetic field from the old baggage. And then from there, you'll be able to elevate your consciousness. You'll be able to imprint that elevated narrative and then shift your behavior into something that's more respectable and self-respecting. So it's going to be a mix of you extracting that old inner narrative, clearing out the energetic sludge, and then along with having the right guidance to help you rewire your behavior. And the repetition of this is what allows you to elevate into the stronger side of yourself, the part of you that has a voice and autonomy, self-respect, standards, and better boundaries around who you give your time and your energy to. And then when you do this, you'll eventually get to the point, with practice, you'll get to the point where the desire to self-abandon is going to melt away. And you'll start to feel more worthy of your time, your space, your energy, your autonomy, and your body to be respected. And it's definitely not a quick fix. It does take time and repetition and practice. And I want you to know that as a human, you have blind spots. So if this is something you've been struggling with and you can't seem to break out of this pattern on your own, I want you to realize that it might be time to get support on that. And that's exactly what we'll be doing in the Erotic Luxury Temple program. So real strength and courage as a woman is when you can get to that place where you have the ability to walk away from people. You'll know that you're elevating and shifting out of this people-pleasing pattern when you're not willing to self-sacrifice yourself anymore. You'll know that you're elevating when you're okay risking people if it means you get to maintain yourself and have your own back. And I know that there's a lot of difficult people out there where if you do express yourself, it's going to be met with reactivity. They might get triggered. They might try to throw a temper tantrum with you. They may try to guilt you or shame you for not acting the way they want you to act. They may try to negotiate with your boundaries. They might get really passive aggressive or start ignoring you to teach you a lesson. And I'm going to help you navigate all of these little nuances over in the program, the Erotic Luxury Temple, because I know there's a lot of colorful people out there who act like children and they don't understand how to accept the word no. But what I want you to understand that it's actually a good thing when people show you that side of themselves. So the right people for you are going to respect the limits that you have. So if somebody's trying to make you feel bad about having limits around something, that lets you know that that's not a person that should be in your life. So something else I want to acknowledge is sometimes a woman can swing to the other end of the spectrum. So what we're talking about today here is the kind of woman who doesn't know how to speak up for herself at all. But then the other extreme of this is the kind of women who are a little bit too overly combative, they're reactive, they're triggered by everything, and they're making the mistake thinking that their aggressiveness is what it means to have boundaries. These kind of women are always looking for unnecessary conflict, they're always needing to prove themselves, so they nitpick with everything, and they're making the mistake thinking doing that is what it means to be a strong woman. But the reality is that that kind of behavior also stems from insecurity and a lack of personal power. So owning a healthy, majestic no is a lot different than drama and reactivity. So there is an art to setting firm yet non-reactive boundaries and speaking up for yourself in a firm yet non-reactive way. And I explain that over in my program, The Erotic Luxury, where I share with you so many practical examples on how you can how to understand how to remain solid and grounded and strong within your body while still remaining soft and open on the outside. So that kind of energy, carrying yourself that way, is a lot different than the kind of women who are overly aggressive, where everything seems to be drama with them. So sovereign relating, which is a form of communication that comes from your enchanted soul and feminine energy, is something that I created, and it's all about learning how to articulate yourself, but without the drama and reactivity. So there's a difference between stating your limits and expressing who you are and expressing what you need versus projectile vomiting your dysfunction and drama onto other people. And I purposely use the words projectile vomit so you can get a good visual of what that looks like and feels like to other people as you're dumping baggage onto them. So what we want to aim for is expressing ourselves in a healthy way while still leaving room for other people and respecting their space as well. So you don't want to avoid speaking up at all, and then you don't want to speak up in a dramatic way either. There's a sweet spot right in the middle. Because believe it or not, the way that you speak directly affects your self-esteem. So if you speak from the solid, wise part of yourself, it actually makes you feel more confidence and self-respect. Whereas if you're speaking from the childlike part of yourself, which is the more dramatic side, the more aggressive side, the more forceful or smothering side, that actually does bring down your self-esteem, and you lose respect for yourself and from other people, because there's no way you or anyone can take yourself seriously if you're acting like you're 5 years old. So something else I want to touch on is how manipulative being this people pleaser actually is. So the kind of woman who does not know how to own her voice and her majestic no, and she's stuck in these patterns of overfunctioning, being the overgiver, being the doormat. That's actually not the real you. The real you has a voice, authenticity, internal strength, and standards. But if you dismiss all of that, and you're only attaching and hiding behind this mask of being the nice girl, can you see how manipulative that actually is? Because when you do that, you're kind of baiting people with a false image of who you are. You're not really showing them the truth of who you are. You're only acting a certain way because you want to control their perception of you. And to understand that a little bit better, I want you to think about how we all know those men who proclaim to be nice guys, or another term I've heard is like the white knights. They're only doing and saying certain things because they want the validation of women. But even behind the cheesy smile or the nice gestures that they have, something always feels off with them. You can feel the contempt or the agenda behind the behavior. It kind of feels a little bit smothering or forceful or like a lot of pressure. Something just feels off with them because what they're doing, and that's because what they're doing is not coming from a genuine place. So that's why it feels untrustworthy. So I want you to think back to maybe how there was a time where you tried to do something nice for someone, but then they were turned off by it, or they rejected it, or they didn't want it, or they lost interest in you, or they lost respect for you. Because I want you to question your motives a little bit. And sometimes the self-proclaimed nice girl or nice guy is not as innocent as they think they are. Sometimes there is an agenda behind your behavior, and it's not coming from an authentic place. And if you question your motives a little bit, what you'll learn and what you'll find is that from a young age, you learned to manipulate your surroundings to control other people's view about who you are so that you could get their attention and their validation. So if you do have this pattern, there's no need to fear. It does not mean that you're a bad woman or anything. We just have to understand that as humans, sometimes we do adapt to our surroundings to get what we want out of life and out of other people. So this is a survival tactic that a lot of us have taken on. And, let's say maybe when you were a little girl, it didn't feel safe to be your real self. And this conditioned you to abandon your real self in order to survive. So you see, this is a deeply embedded pattern that needs to be rewired. And it does take time, and it is extremely hard to do on your own because, like I said before, we all have blind spots. We all have things that we can't see. We have these coping mechanisms and these defenses and these patterns that you might think is normal, but it's actually not the real you. So if you are interested in taking this further to uncover and illuminate all of that, to get yourself in alignment with the truth of who you really are, I want to invite you into the program, the Erotic Luxury Temple, where I'm giving a lot of beautiful, powerful healing exercises that you need to turn this all around. Not only do we cover the energetic side of all of this, which is all about healing the energy blocks behind this, but I also help you rewire your behavior as well, giving you practical things to look at and look for so that you can get yourself out of that people pleaser behavior and back into alignment with the real you. And you have to rewire that inner narrative so that you feel safe to honor that majestic no and that self-expression of who you really are. So there's a difference between being who you really are, saying yes when you mean yes and no when you mean no, versus all of those moments where you're kind of selling yourself out by being the good girl and only telling people what they want to hear, you know? So those are two different things that are going to produce two different outcomes, and it's really, really important to learn the difference. So I also want to say that if you are stuck in this nice girl pattern where you don't know how to own your voice, that's going to attract very predatory people, because predatory people specifically look for those women who don't know who they are, because that's an easier target for them to sink their hooks into. Whereas if you are embodied in your erotic luxury, when you're embodied in that sovereign woman within you, that's a place of strength and that's a place of resilience. And that's going to give you these very powerful energetic boundaries that actually keep out people who mean harm to you. And you'll be able to easily spot it and reject them and repel them. And they won't want anything to do with you because you're not an easy target for them. So I want you to join me in the Erotic Luxury Temple if you are tired of feeling like it's not safe to own your voice, if you have trouble with boundaries, if you feel constant guilt when it comes to honoring yourself. In the temple is where I help you turn all of that around. We're going to work on rewiring that distorted inner narrative that was making you feel as though your voice didn't matter, and elevate you into your erotic luxury, which is a state of rock solid inner security, timeless inner beauty. It gives you a youthful, vivacious inner glow that is utterly captivating to everyone around you. And it helps you rejuvenate the beauty of your sensual essence, allowing you to feel secure and grounded on the inside, but still remain that luscious, warm oasis of irresistible strength on the outside as well. I'm going to help you learn how to listen to yourself. And when you learn how to listen to yourself, that builds self-trust, it elevates your self-esteem, and it builds your confidence as well. So your worthiness has a lot to do with the way that you speak and the way that you show up for yourself. So if you keep self-abandoning, you're not going to trust yourself because you're betraying yourself, and that's going to make you feel like you're not good enough. Whereas if you learn how to own your voice and align your actions with what you really desire, that's going to be the key to the fulfillment that you've been looking for. It's going to help you fill those voids that were hungry and yearning for validation and causing the self-sacrifice, and it's going to help you begin to self-source your own power. And for the ladies who are struggling with relationships, and if you desire to find that supreme energy man, that divine masculine man who adores you and cherishes you and dotes on you and is completely enchanted and enamored with all of who you are, your ability to own your majestic no is a direct reflection of the kind of men you are attracting. So if you're afraid to own your voice, it puts you in a childlike mindset, which then attracts either childlike men or predatory men. Whereas if you own the woman in you, if you're devoted to the soul in you, that helps you become more magnetic to those higher quality men who feel inexplicably drawn to you because you're this oasis of radiant serenity that they absolutely cannot resist. So this journey is like soul surgery. It allows you to come back home to yourself, and what you'll find is that is the safest place that you could ever be. All right, my loves, thank you for showing up. Thank you for joining me. If this resonated with you, if you had any insights during this audio, if you have any questions about this, let me know down below. Leave me a comment. And for those of you who are serious and you want to take your journey to the next level, if you want to finally own your voice and become that radiant, powerful woman who's embodied in her erotic luxury, I want you to join the program, and I will leave the link to that down below. Remember, you only have 4 days left for the early bird bonuses and the early bird price, so make sure you sign up today and secure your spot now. All right, loves, take care, and I will see you over in the temple. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.